Good morning, planet Earth. I bring you greetings from the 1970s. 5:50 in the morning. Old people go to bed early and get up early. I tell you what, I got into the habit when I was teaching because my buddy and I would pick up each other at 6, and that's what I mean. I would be there a minute or two before 6, and so would he. And we'd get to work about 10 after 6, leave about 4. I'd get home, to tell you the truth. I want to tell the truth. Get out back if the weather was good and grill and drink beer, maybe smoke a little dope or pot or marijuana or whatever you call it these days. My gosh, I'm in Northwest Arkansas. You can drive 50 miles that way and it's legal in Missouri. We still want you to drink whiskey and vodka and beer and make you an alcoholic instead of letting you use marijuana in Arkansas. We're hypocritical, but Missouri's a little better about that. Anyway, and so eat, take a shower, lay down, watch Antiques Roadshow from 7 to 7:30, and lights out, baby. Lights out, baby. 7:30. Get up the next day at 5, start it all over again. It's almost 15 years of that. And at this point in my life, and since then, I was in my early 40s to 50s. Uh, I like the mornings. I like the sunrise. I'm blessed because this is on the eastern slope where I grew up, and so I can watch a nice sunrise every day I've been here, 2 months. I miss the sunset, and I don't want to be greedy. Hard to see both of them from your home. New York, New York. Yeah, I would tell my students at Springdale High, most of them from Mexico, El Salvador, Marshall Islands. I taught ESL for the first few years. Two places to go in America you need to go: New York City and Yellowstone, for very different reasons. But I still recommend that. And some of these racists, and what do you call it, owning the libs, the Republicans that want to own the libs, and a lot of Republicanism these days is based on racism, and Trump helps promote that and let it loose. And it kind of surprised me the first time I was seeing, wow, okay, so that's what it is. He comes down the escalator in his first news conference and says, these Mexicans coming across the border, they're not their best, they're rapists and murderers. And it's the first thing that's the first time he talked to America. And a lot of Americans go, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't see how a Hispanic can vote for him. It's traitorous, I think. I mean, this guy's a true blue racist. Uh, and what do you have? Florida and Texas Republican governor is sending immigrants in buses up to Democratic cities, New York, Chicago. My God, Texas is doing it to Chicago in 0-degree weather. How inhumane, how immoral, how irreligious. Um, New York, Ellis Island, man. That's where your people came from. If you're a white person, you go back far enough, your people came in on the East Coast, maybe before Ellis Island, but millions and millions at Ellis Island. Your people were immigrants. Even the Native Americans, you were immigrants from Asia. Um, but the racist white people that hate immigrants, it's like, well, you just go back far enough. That's what you were. Immigrants usually are poor, trying to find a better life. That's why the Transcontinental Railroad was built primarily from the east by the poor Irish and from the west by the poor Chinese that had both immigrated here and needed whatever they could do and do the worst jobs and live in the tenements. And uh, a lot of whites were indentured servants. You had to work for free for 7 years before you got your freedom. And certainly, yeah, the bottom was slaves, the slavery that uh, was perpetrated first by the French and British and the plantations, especially plantations in South America and the Caribbean, sugar plantations and other plantations. Terrible lives, which is why most of the Haitians died in plantation work. Just brutal inhumanity, including in America. And even after emancipation, so much racism and Jim Crow and lies and deceit, wickedness. For some reason, uh, Republicans in particular don't want to even talk about it. Now you can talk too much about it or focus too much on anything, but to deny it is a lie, is untruthful. So New York, I had a girlfriend that said, "Straighten up your hat. Why do you wear it crooked?" And I'm like, well, "Because I'm off kilter. I don't want to be straight down the road. That's not who I am. So I wear my hat a little off." And from what I've seen, normal is not very good. It's usually people following other people, not doing what they believe in, but following the crowd. A lot of church seems to be social and making connections, and a lot of it about money, even. And I think even Jesus back in those days, 2,000 years ago, saw all that and said, "Hey, you can pray in your closet. You don't need that." And beware of the people in the best seats in the long robes. He warned us, beware of these these people that um, I don't know, you can just call false prophets or just prophets of themselves, enriching themselves and loving the power, or, sanctimony of saying, "No, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that." I'm still surprised at how many people follow the Catholic Church after all the things that they've done through the ages, even all the millions and millions and millions of dollars that they've paid to all the child abuse victims that were sexually abused by priests. I mean, just believe in God or just believe in yourself. You don't need this organized religion, because just like a corporation, many times it becomes corrupt. I think the Republican Party has become corrupt, partly led by Trump, but not only by him. But before, I think it was more honorable. Even if they talked about balancing the budget, and then, that did not happen with Reagan and his tax cuts for the rich, and Bush, his tax cuts for the rich in 2 wars. He was probably the worst at balancing the budget. But then it goes to the next president who's a Democrat, and the Republicans say, "We got to balance the budget." But they're the ones that had busted it. There's the ones that with Trump and his tax cuts for the rich and corporations and foreign investment. Yeah, he's the one that busted the budget and all his acolytes. So just don't be a stupid citizen and understand what's going on. Don't be so ignorant. You're not ignorant. But if you don't get educated, or if you're not interested, then you're going to be ignorant, because you're not going to learn anything. You'll watch football, or you'll go shopping Sad. Doesn't need to be sad. Um, oh, also New York. That's where Washington was inaugurated as president. Uh, right there at Wall Street. And Wall Street's pretty corrupt because the stock market, which media says, oh, the economy's doing great. Look at the stock market. Well, the stock market is really helping the top 10% of Americans. They're the ones that own 80% of it. Now, yeah, I am a retired teacher, so I have a teacher's pension, and they invest. And I'm telling you, a lot of these pensions, including teachers, firemen, and women, police, uh, government workers, why do we get a pension and other people don't? Why? Why? Aren't we equal? Shouldn't we be equal? My Social Security is like this, and my pension is a little bit bigger. And putting those two together, I can survive. And humbly, but I can survive. So we just have to be committed to each other. And a lot of these pensions, people will fight for pensions that aren't realistic, where maybe you put in $50,000, but if you live to be 80, you're going to get out $300,000, so or more, and that's not going to add up. And some of the pension funds, we need a 10%, or we need a guaranteed 10% return every year, or 15%, and you're gonna gamble that stuff away, and then it'll be gone, and everybody's going to look at each other and go, "I can't believe this happened." Well, sure you can believe that happened because you helped create the situation. I made a few notes. About pensions and just what's right and what's wrong. Like I said, when I was a teacher, let's say I made $45,000, and the cook that helped feed 2,000 people, 2,000 kids, was making half that, and the janitor was making half that. Was I twice as good as these people? Was I worth twice? Should my children have twice the chance of a good education and shoes and a home? It's our inequality is our greatest sin as humans with each other, our social sin. What we're doing to the planet is probably our greatest spiritual sin. I don't know. But those are the two greatest sins of humanity: the way we treat each other and the way we treat the earth. And the Republicans who they talk about small government, individualism, and freedoms, and a lot of that is freedoms from being committed to each other, freedoms from helping your community, freedoms from worrying about poverty and poor people. I mean, if you give tax cuts to the rich, that's what you're doing. You're saying we don't really care about the poor. Let's help the rich, and the poor can, scrub their floors and mow the grass. And we need to keep quite a high percentage of people poor because they'll work for cheap wages, and we need cheap wages. What do we call essential workers during the pandemic? Essential workers. What did I write in the song? Something like low wage, poverty wage workers are essential so the rich people can reach their full potential. Yeah. True enough. Yeah, like I said, I'm surprised these people that talk, evangelicals that are so wrapped up in their religion are supporting such a corrupted person, such as Trump, with his three marriages, three adulteries in each one, racist, greedy throughout his life, sexual predator, doesn't care about the earth, What did he say? I'm going to be a dictator. Drill, 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 and burn the fuel that is creating all this calamity and catastrophe in our weather, including. I mean, it's coming back to hurt you. You can be this prideful. We're going to burn, burn, burn. Say, yeah, it's going to, and then it's going to come back and destroy you and your people and your earth. Uh, and I live close to Oklahoma, and a lot of areas in America that's fracking. Oh, we're going to get cheap natural gas by fracking, and after fracking so much, earthquakes start to happen, and some of these houses have foundation problems because of the earthquakes, and the people that have drilled are going, "Well, I didn't do that. That's it. That's Mother Nature." So nobody wants to take the blame when bad things happen. And the way we keep burning coal, oil, and gas in particular, and the droughts and the water crisis and the fires, the sea level rise, and the inundation of the coast and floods. It wasn't us. We didn't do it. Sure, we did. Yeah, we are the ones that are doing it. We are the criminals. You'll hear this. This is a this is a once in a century storm. Although we had one 20 years ago, just like it. Uh, so the climatologists are going to have to change and quit saying this is a one in a 50-year storm because it happens every 10 years now because of what we're doing to the climate. Uh, again, we've burned CO2 and these gases, methane, all these gases for so long, it's built up, but we're continuing to do that, and now we have 8 billion people. When you look at this graph of how many people have been living on Earth, it's amazing how fast it's grown in the last 200 years. It's, that's a problem. Overpopulation is a problem, and that's something that needs to be addressed. Um, and again, I'll say about immigration, I do think, of course, it has to be restricted because we have 330 million people, and we're not doing a good job of taking care of, half of that. We can't take care of the ones that are here. So we need to have some immigration, but more importantly, we need to take care of the people that are here. I think the Republicans do have a lack of compassion. They can talk about the Bible and Jesus, but I don't see the compassion for other people. I see hatred about immigrants, but I see a lack of commitment to helping the poor. As I've said, they're the ones that will cut taxes on the rich. They're the ones that will say, man, we can't pay for Social Security and Medicare and food stamps and all this stuff, just giving away stuff to the poor people. They need to work for it. Well, yeah, if the jobs could pay for them to have a decent life, the jobs don't. And you don't want them to have a high pay. You want to keep them down. And you want to keep wealth concentrating. And that's what's happening. And it's our fault. And it's Republicans' fault, especially the working class Republicans that don't act like they don't know better. They know better. You can say, I vote Republican because of guns or because of abortion or because of immigration. But you need to say something about wealth concentration and inequality and tax cuts for the rich. Tell me about that. Tell me what you think about that and what it's doing to America. Anything else? Oh, I want to say you're beautiful, whoever you are. Born beautiful, you'll die beautiful. In this universe of dark matter and empty space and lifeless planets and galaxies, you're special. You're divine. You're a knockout. Nobody's perfect. Uh, I've been told too many times about how skinny I am. After a while, you hear something like that, and you just kind of, you don't even shake your head. You just move on. Like, okay, I've heard that 1,000 times. You're so skinny, which, I guess for a woman, that's a good thing. For a man, it's not. So, okay, I am who I am. I don't need to try to become something I'm not. And the truth is the best. I remember talking to a girlfriend, good, good relationship we had, but at the end, and I'm saying, well, I hope your next boyfriend you're more physically attracted to. And she said, I do too. And you can say, oh, that's sad. And I'm saying, well, I guess it's sad, but more than that, it's the truth. And I think lying is much more sad than the truth. There's a woman out there that'll appreciate who I am for who I am, and not need to create a fantasy. And there's somebody out there for you that will find you to be wonderful and the cat's meow and the one that knocks them out. And they won't need a fantasy. They'll appreciate you for who you are. And hopefully, those come together. Those constellations or those planets come together and see each other. I mean, that's true love. That's the beauty of humanity. Part of the beauty. There's lots of beauty, but the love relationship is definitely one of the greatest. And many of us, millions, maybe billions, I don't know, aren't in that relationship. Uh, Even some of the people that are married and together, but they have no passion, they have no love for each other. Like I've said, when I see the couple that never holds hands, never hugs, never kisses, never says I love you, I just kind of wonder. It's more like friends. It's like, okay, I don't see any passion, and for me at least, passion is what sets that apart. I have some good friends, awesome people. I don't have a best friend. My best friend is when I'm in love with a woman, and she's the light. She is just the beautiful light, and she'll be imperfect. And even the people that are physically uh, more beautiful than the rest of us, and that's a great gift. But it's also a curse because some everybody will want them because they're physically beautiful, and they won't. It'd be hard to figure out who really loves them and cares about them for who they are. Uh, but they may be they'll be lacking in some area. The people that are the guys that are in the most shape, this fantastic shape. Part of it is okay. You're not spending enough time in probably something else. You're spending so much time on this. You're probably not unfocused on something else. One of my problems in COVID, man, I was doing music on the computer, garage band, and just loving it. I usually play guitar, so it was different. And then I would ride my bike. So I would sit down and do garage band. Then I would sit down on my bicycle. I never stretched. And my back and hips, are still hurting because of that. And bicycling is not weight bearing. It's not good for your bones. You need to do something else like walk or jog, lift weights. Bicycling and swimming are great for your heart and great for you, but they're not weight bearing. So, anyway, take care of yourself, believe in yourself. I believe in humanity and everybody that's here, and trying to do the best by each other and by ourselves. Um, I said something the other day about making sure, especially men, being caring enough about your woman that you want her to climax in lovemaking, and women hopefully being open enough to talk about that or write him a note. I need this. This helps me. And whatever it is, it's okay. As we age, you may need more help, like vibrators. And even if you're younger, it doesn't matter. Whatever is necessary for both people to enjoy each other and enjoy themselves and enjoy making love. I mean, you don't want to go crazy in getting away from just two human beings together and bringing pleasure to each other. But if a vibrator is necessary for clitoral stimulation and climax, well, that's the way it is. And I'm just telling you, men, that I think that's important, and to take your time. Like I saw a sex therapist, a woman that said, whatever it is, take twice as long. Just don't be in a hurry. But I would suggest, she comes first, and then take your time, but focus on her. And maybe I get into a rut, so that's always the way to do it. But anyway, that's just a suggestion. One more thing, sad story. You know how life is just knocks you around sometimes. One of the times that when I was growing up that knocked me around was an infamous night. My father was drinking and he was sitting in a chair, and my big brother was between his legs, and he was cutting his hair with fingernail clippers, little scissors. And I remember hearing my big brother, who was in junior high, I think, saying, "Don't cut the sideburns, Don." And my dad said, "You're too young to have sideburns." And he tortured his hair. He tore it up, as ugly as you could do. And I think the tension in the house, I forget, but shit was going down, and people knew that, and the alcoholic monster, was on the prowl. And the next thing I knew, he had my younger brother, and he had a bowl over his head, and he's cutting his hair like that. And me and one of my younger brothers went into the bedroom. My mother was in bed, and I remember her saying, "I can't protect you, run and hide. I can't protect you, run and hide." I was about 11, I think. And wake up call, man. I had two parents. One was drunk and doing shit to his kids, and the other one was saying, "I can't protect you, run and hide." I'm like, run and hide. Man, life can be terrible sometimes. That was terrible. It was terrible. And it lives with my brothers, I know, and me forever. And you can say, get over it. And, I don't want to get over it. I want to realize what happened when I was younger, and who I am, and who I've become, and what I don't want to do. I don't want to become that. And what I think is right and what I think is wrong. So, luckily I didn't have to go to war. The soldiers that go to war and see terrible, terrible things and have PTSD. Now that would be something I'm sure you want to forget. And also, hopefully, you're more cognizant of, this idea of jumping into a war. It's like, this is worse than you think. We don't really want to do this. Or, all the bombing in Gaza, 20,000 people dead. Now, it doesn't seem as horrific as what Hamas did in Israel, because of all the rape and sexual torture, maybe and children, and Hamas, the terror that they inflicted, and the inhumanity was a crime against humanity. Uh, but wouldn't you say the same thing is happening if you bomb buildings? It's different, but if you bomb a building and kill 100 people and many women and children, and bomb hospitals, don't you think that is too a crime against humanity? It's different, but uh, we can't just rally around aggression and anger and retribution. What do the Republicans? What's their leader Trump say? I am your retribution. What? What does that mean? I am your retribution. Shouldn't you say something like, I love America and I want to lead America into a brighter future, and all Americans are united in our devotion and commitment to each other and to this great nation. But no, he says, I am your retribution. I'm going to go get these guys. Man, that's a sad state of affairs for him and for anybody that supports him. We have to do better than that. My God.